guys, how's it going? It's Al. We have a recap video for you for DraftKings Week 7. I'm going to go over everything that happened, but to me, specifically to me, because it's my channel and this is about me. I hope you did well this week. We're going to go over how the cheat sheet performed up and down, all the different plays in the cheat sheet, my cash game lineup, how it performed, as well as my high stakes tournament lineup, mistakes that I made there, my millionaire maker lineups, my rainmakers lineups. Underdog, I did a different thing on Underdog this week where I played like over 80 battle royale teams that I just let all of them auto draft. So we're gonna see how those did, as well as a best ball check-in. We are halfway through the best ball season with 7 weeks being done. We're gonna take a look at how my teams are performing in those, both on DraftKings and on Underdog, as well as taking a look at the Listener League, shouting out the top 10 finishers and seeing which one of you guys won this week. So thank you all for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave a reply. Let's go.
He's a legend.
Let's dive right into it with the cheat sheet, see where we were. First play on the cash game core values was somebody that I did not end up on in my cash game lineup because I just couldn't make it fit with where I wanted to go. Josh Jacobs, and he did very poorly. 5.1 points. Just the Raiders quarterback situation, when it's not Jimmy G, affects this entire offense in a massively negative way, and they got throttled by the Chicago Bears. You should never get throttled by the Chicago Bears. And that happened to the Raiders as Hoyer and AOC could not get the job done. Ken Walker was fine, 16.1 fantasy points. Josh Palmer was a smash, 21.3. Marquise Brown failed, but didn't hurt you as basically everybody had him. Travis Kelce was the key to everything this week, whether it was tournaments or whether it was cash games. There was this flip going on Sunday morning where people said, well, maybe I should go with Cooper Kupp instead of Travis Kelce against the Chargers, who he has manhandled for the last 3 seasons. I was squarely on the side of Travis Kelce on that debate because it came down to Travis Kelce and a cheap wide receiver, or Cooper Kupp minus 1,500 more salary dollars and a cheap tight end, none of who had the ceiling possibility or average day. On average day, at a below average day for Travis Kelce is like 14 fantasy points on DraftKings. And above average day is the 38.9 that he posted. So if you had Travis Kelce in cash, you won. And then anybody who had Kupp, you lost. And you could have made up for a lot of ground with just having Travis Kelce there. The under 10% plays, not a lot of them hit. Some of the 5 under 5 scored touchdowns, like 3 of the guys from the video on the 5 under 5 scored touchdowns. Ramondre had 14.5 points. He's like at the point where he's just like fine and waiting for a couple of touchdown days, but like he got vultured by Ezekiel Elliott. Austin Eckler fail. Brian Robinson Jr. not great. Chris Godwin not great. Deontay Johnson, he was fine, 12.9 fantasy points in his return from the IR. Puka Nacua went nuts with 26.9. If you had Stafford stacks that were skinny with Puka, you did fine. But if you included Kupp in those stacks, not fine. Devontae Adams, not quite squeaky enough. Amari Cooper, no good because of the injury / I don't want to play anymore today from his quarterback. Logan Thomas, 9.1. But on National Tight Ends Day, 9.1 points from the tight end spot when so many of them had 20 plus was not going to do it. Already talked about these two. Isaiah Pacheco got a bailout late in the game with a touchdown catch, getting him up to 16 fantasy points for 6.1. Jerome Ford started the day great with like a 77-yard touchdown on his first series of the game, and then got hurt, and then Kareem Hunt kind of took over. He had 17.4 points. He also had like a pitch play that went for negative 10 yards, so he didn't even get close to the bonus. Jahmyr Gibbs got seemingly scripted out of that game, right? Where like the starters should not have been in late, but he caught 9 footballs yesterday, which brought his total up to 27.6 points. Also had a nice touchdown run. That in the wide receivers all kind of sucked pretty much across the board everywhere. Keenan Allen, 9.5. Marquise Brown, 7.9. Still had good volume, 7 targets, but only caught 3. Like the quarterback play in, I think Joshua Dobbs is commendable for the job that he's doing right now, but like he is highly inaccurate. He can't deliver the football. Decision making's not great. Doesn't get the ball out in time. You can totally see the difference when you have a professional starting caliber quarterback and a backup caliber quarterback. throwing the ball to guys who are clearly good at getting open. McBride's very good. Ertz finds his spots in zone. Brown very good. Wilson showing potential. He just can't get the ball to him as often or as accurately as one would want. A lot of uncatchable balls there. Tyler Lockett inexplicably failed, but JSN didn't. And neither did Bobo, who caught a touchdown on a ridiculous toe drag swag situation. Wan'Dale Robinson got 2 targets. What? 3.2 fantasy points. Awful. A lot of snowflakes in the wide receivers. Travis Kelce was an absolute smash. Here's the highlighted problem with the cheap tight ends. Michael Mayer, 3.3 points. Luke Musgrave, 7 points. Jonnu Smith, 5.7. You see Logan Thomas just to the left of him. All these guys, 3,600 and down, all did kind of what they're supposed to do. Get you a few catches for a few yards. You're just praying for touchdowns, as opposed to these guys like Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, who you got to pay up a little bit more for, but can absolutely break the slate. And you see the difference when I'm talking about separators at the tight end position. Defense is another separator position. We were on a lot of the right defenses this week. They were very clear and obvious with the Browns against Indy, and as turnover prone as they are, and the Giants, which I thought was going to be a chalk defense, but was not. Shockingly, a lot of people going with the Goff on the road narrative with the Ravens defense. It scored a lot of points. A lot of defenses had like nobody ran away at defense, but a lot of them in the mid 15s, which really helps in cash and in tournaments. The Chiefs went bonkers. Absolutely nuts. If you played the Mahomes, Kelce, Rashee Rice double stack, that scored you 95.7 DraftKings points. If you brought it back with Palmer, add on another 21.3 double stack bring back, still living large. The Seahawks did just fine, especially if you were on the cheap double, which would have been something you would have had to have either planned for ahead of time, assuming that Metcalf was going to be out, as Stefania was alluding to on Fantasy Football Now yesterday. You could have gotten there with that and then wrapped a lot of high dollar plays around it, like Travis Kelce and others, but it would have taken a little bit of foresight to be able to do that, or set yourself up for a Bobo single or a JSN single, and then working your way into the other one. Stafford to Cup sucked. Stafford to Puka went nuts. The budget stacks I said were ugly right from go. And the one that I didn't use, the Ravens, somebody said, well, what about if you had a Lamar double stack? Well, Lamar double stack with a bringback. And there were 2 Lions bringbacks that were very good, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs. That double and bringback would have scored 97.88, which is 20 points less than the Chiefs Chargers double with a bringback stack. Let's go take a look at my cash game lineup. And I did cash. I believe I had like an 80th percentile lineup, somewhere in that range. So good enough to sweep all my cash games. This was the $1,000 50-50. Cash game looks pretty similar. Looks like a lot of things that were on the sheet. Smith, Pacheco, Walker, Lockett, Brown, Wan'Dale. Fail, fail, fail. Success. Right there. Travis Kelce was the separator at tight end. Palmer, he did just fine. Only 33%. I was shocked to see the Giants at 13%. Palmer at 33%. This is like a 30-man 50-50. Like, these guys should have been on. Ken Walker, clear chalk at high stakes. Pacheco, and then looking at like all my, like, if you're somebody who used to play over on Draft Street, they used to have it like over here. The lobby was here, and then they'd have your games here, and like everything was green, right? All of these games were completely green. And as I said, so like as you get to larger field, 24th of 111, 73rd of 444, so it's kind of like an 80th percentile ish lineup in that spot. So like if I had played a ton of head-to-heads, I would have won about 80% of my head-to-heads, which is going to be a good week. Hopefully you guys did well in your head-to-heads, because that's what's going to buoy your tournament games. And when you don't win at tournaments, like I did not win at tournaments, this is the Thunderdome, 5,000 entry fee, did not get there because I went, and I'll talk you through this. I made decisions that I felt I had to get different because of how consolidated and chalky certain plays were going to be. Again, a 30-man GPP, Ken Walker, 63%, Pacheco, 36%, Brown, 43%, JSN. Even JSN was 33% played in this tournament. So I decided that I was going to go with a late heavy lineup and pivot onto a lot of the Seahawks in the case that Metcalf was out. That was the game that I wanted to target in that scenario. The problem is, before I was on Mahomes. I had Kelsey. I had Rice. I had still had Walker. I had a very similar lineup. Once again, me and Mike kind of think alike. Even Mike and I do not talk about lineups, but congratulations for coming in third this week. He ended up on his Mahomes, Kelsey, Palmer. Did not have Rice. He had Tony. I would have had Rice, Palmer. The reason I got off of it is because I didn't think I could win with that, as I felt Kelsey, Palmer were going to be so chalky in this, and I feel like I leveled myself, because you're always thinking about what you have, but you have to think about what the other players are going to play and how you can leverage off of these other high stakes players in a game as small as this one. I just didn't play route one, and route one for me all week was Mahomes, Kelsey, Rice, Palmer as my initial four, and then make the rest of the lineup work, which was very easy. I would have had Jerome Ford in this lineup, who did just fine. I was not going to have the key player on the slate, who was Deontay Foreman, who, as you can see in the Millionaire Maker lineups, I won in the Millionaire Maker this week. I won $60. So of the 150 lineups that I played, show only mine. I don't care about anybody else. Highest lineup came in 638th. Mahomes, Gibbs, Foreman, Christian Watson, he sucked. Tony, Palmer, Kelsey, Sutton as the secondary stack with Watson. Seahawks defense had 8 points. That double and bring back really scored you an awful lot. And we talked about this before the slate started on the Anti-Tinkercast, how I was more open this week because of the ugliness of the slate to allow running backs on more teams in my double stacks because of how nasty this slate was. I was shocked that JSN was 12.4%. I thought it was going to be closer to 5. He clearly wasn't. Rainmakers ended up covering my tournament plays this week, as my high stakes tournament lineup did not cash. I basically broke even in the Millionaire Maker. Rainmakers, these are the 2022 cards. For those of you who have 2022 cards, here's all my lineups. I've still got some players to go tonight. These cash out on Monday night. They're Thursday through Sunday lineups, and I'm currently winning 1,600 in those. On Showdown last night, had a nice third place for 3,000 with Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle broke his back during the game. Brown, Tua in that lineup. Not a big game for Tua, but you can't play Hill and Hurts in the same lineup. Coach S won that one with Antonio. He went with AJ Brown as the captain. This is always the sharper way to go if you're playing Rainmaker Showdown. The quarterback always going to project for more points. So if you're going to play the quarterback in captain, just realize that that's going to be the captain that everybody's going to want to play more. The quarterbacks do tend to hold more captains. So Jalen Hurts, Brown 9.3, Jalen Hurts 24. So if you have the quarterback and the captain, quarterback and the wide receiver, playing the wide receiver, the alpha wide receiver in the captain spot, they can typically outscore the quarterback, even though the quarterback has a higher median. So I advocate for doing that to give yourself opportunities at finishing higher. That lineup that I had probably finished about as high as it could. Happy to take home third place in that one. And here's my other ones, like the legendary lineups came in 20th with a Baker, White, Evans stack, Kelsey, and Pickens in that one. Who else? Elite, I won 700. Mentioned that I blind entered. I downloaded the player rankings from ETR. This is the Battle Royale. It's a $5 tournament. You draft against 6 players in a 6-round draft. You must have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end, and then you have a flex that you can pick, not a super flex. This lineup came in 18th place, so $5 returned 1,000. When I say I blind entered these, I just let them all auto draft. I just let them all auto draft. Had Joshua Palmer in the last round, Kelsey, Evans. I had a lot of Evans because he was really high on their list. Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs in this one. And shout out to Brick75, who let me use his app tool to try and be a little bit sharper at drafting those things. Something I'm going to try and do moving forward a little bit more. I'm probably going to keep blind entering these, and I got the full rake back for this. If you get over 75 entries, they give you 50% rake back, so like $40. But big winnings here, 400 into 2,000. Happy about that one. Let's take a look at my best ball teams. I had 33 entries in Best Ball Mania 4 this year. I didn't really grind a whole lot of them. I was busy doing baseball stuff all summer, coaching my kids' all-star team. I'm doing worse now than I was at our last check. And the reason is zero running back was extremely viable this season. And if you look at the teams that I have, you'll see that I kind of went with zero running back philosophies. This one, Walker, Cam Akers, rip. Isaiah Pacheco, P. Ryan, Damian Harris, rip to him. Deontay Foreman late, carrying that one. Hill, Higgins, Debo, now he's hurt. The problem with the zero running back strategy as it ended up, that one has 870. I want to try and find it. I have one that's got like 960. It's not a problem with him. Trey Lance, wow. Did hit on CJ Stroud later. Here's one of the zero running back lineups that we had. Jamal Williams, Brian Robinson, Mostert, Foreman, Kyron Williams. Is that so many of these guys, Achane was in that list, Montgomery's been hurt, Kyron now out till week 11. So even though we hit on a whole bunch of these zero running backs, and like not just hit, but hit really hard. Mostert leading the league in touchdowns. Achane looked like an absolute game breaker. Kyron Williams in the 18th or 20th round, depending on where you were drafting, was a massive hit. Deontay Foreman stepping into a high volume workload right now, and as long as he gets that, he's going to do just fine. Maybe he's being extra benefit from Fields being out while he's the starting guy, and loading up on the superstar wide receivers and or tight ends who are carrying those teams is that now all of those running backs are hurt. My highest scoring team on DraftKings is this one. This is the $1,000 entry fee. I'm in first place in that one, but I'm being stalked, and that team is not great in my opinion. Let's open up this one, and let's open up this one where I'm in second place, and I'll show you this one too, because we got to get on with this video and get to the other players. This is this team. My best this is the $10 entry fee, their big one. Josh Allen, Puka Nacua late, Steph Diggs. This is my Bill stack. Elliott, Robinson Jr., Mostert sitting on the bench in this week in that one. Hunter Henry injured. Hodgins kind of sucks. Debo hurt. Stroud doing just fine. He's thriving. This next one, Mac Jones started a game for me with his late stack in that one. This was my Tua double. Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Watson, Andrews, Henry, Jones. Kareem Hunt was a zero RB pickup in a lot of these drafts going super late. McKinnon, I have probably way too much McKinnon. Rondale Moore, Parker, Higbee, Bigsby, a lot of zero RB. Anthony Richardson, rip to him. Nico Collins having a great year. David Montgomery is going to be back at some point and step back into a super high volume role. Ayuk doing just fine. And then that last high stakes one where I'm the $1,000 league, where I'm trying to hold on to this one. This is the beauty of best ball. The late round picks can, if they're filling weeks for you, you're probably doing all right, because that's not your primary. This is a week where I've got Burrow, Chase, everybody. Achane's out on this one. Mims was fine, I guess. Cousins, I think I sniped Cousins because I had Hawkinson going in there. So, and they have the late season matchup, the week 17 matchup. Rashee Rice doing great. Olave contributing every single week. Reed stepped into a touchdown this week. So hopefully this team can hold on and get me to the money, as I'm still completing, I think, 25% of my drafts going on to the next round as at the halfway mark. Got to get to week 14. Let's take a look at the Listener League. Congratulations to 24 Seahawks who did not go with a Seahawks stack, but he did survive with a 23% owned Tyler Lockett. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Palmer. 20226 had Ken Walker, Deontay Foreman. Beautifully crafted lineup in this one. Pivoted to JSN, I'm going to assume. SmizzGang sharper than the Millionaire Maker. Almost 20% JSN in their lineups in this tournament. And the Ravens defense, 14 fantasy points. Smash Mouth Bucks. Also, you're going to see a lot of Mahomes stacks in these, I can guarantee you. Came in second. Dustin 77 with a Lamar single and an Amon-Ra St. Brown bring back. Solid. Behinds 5783. Home and T had a Josh Allen. I get that. That's not even a word. HS Verdlin. There, I think that's what it is. The HS Verdlin is apparently like a ship, I think. It's got to be a ship, right? A lot of tight scores up here at the top. 202, 20216, won by a tenth of a point. 201, 200, 200. Lucky Lindy 11. Robert Coriston, Ali 41, and Prime CMR was a week for all the Prime PMR. Congratulations to all the winners. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.